Hello and welcome to RC Projects. Now it's been a year and a half since I bought my SCX10. The 24th of November I did a unboxing video for the 2-year anniversary special for the channel. And yes, I'm finally building my SCX10. I've been putting it off for a long time because of house moves and a new job, just various life stuff getting in the way. But yeah, it's finally time to build my SCX10 and I'm really excited. So while the kit's been sitting around, I have bought parts for it, electronic wise. I have got the full kit, I've got everything I need to finish it. Just looking through the instruction book here, we've got obviously all the parts listed at the front. And the first step is going to be building the axles. Now I'm going to take this process slow because I want it to be done right and I want to build it properly. So the first step is to build both axles, it looks like. So that's probably all it's going to be today, just building both axles. And then the next episode, it looks like, we'll be doing drive shafts and links and shocks. So I'm going to take it slow, take it steady and just do quite a few episodes of this series. But yeah, really looking forward to it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the actual electronic parts I've got for the SCX10. Now if you want to be a bit surprised and see it as we go through the episodes, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can skip to miss all this bit here. So I'll let you go now. So obviously we've got my Tamiya receiver. Always run those, waterproof as well, which is really good, 3-channel. We've got my steering servo. It's a high-tech HS646WP, waterproof, ultra torque. So everyone runs the Savox ones, the blue ones, but I hate Savox servos. They're so noisy and loud and twitchy. But yeah, so we've got a high-tech servo. We've got the Axial ESC motor, which is a Tiken FXR with a 35-turn heavy-duty motor. I've always wanted a Tiken system in one of my RCs, so really looking forward to using that. And it looks pretty cool as well. So we've also got the colour, which is going to be camel yellow for the body. I didn't want two of the same colour in my RC collection, so I went for a camel yellow. Looks really nice, similar colour to the lunchbox. Very close. But this isn't going to stay this colour anyway, I don't think, when I come to modify it. But yeah, really looking forward to that colour as well, looks really nice. And lastly, this wasn't intentional. A guy at work also has trail vehicles and he bought this for one of his RCs, but it didn't fit. So I bought it off him for £10. It's a full metal bumper. It's similar to the one that's already included in the kit, but that one's plastic, this one's metal. And it's got some LED lights and some shackles with it as well. It's from Team Raffi. And I have had products from them before. I've had a scale, radiator, intercooler, oil cooler set from them for my drift project. Looks really nice. It's really tough, really sturdy, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks. So what I'll do is maybe when it comes time to put the bumper on, I'll do a comparison of the plastic versus the metal one. But yeah, that was a bit unintentional, but I'm going to use it anyway. Why not? So yeah, really looking forward to getting this all built up. But the first step is to build the axles. So we're starting with the front axle. I've already cut out all the pieces that I need just to speed along the process. Nice little touch though. Axial actually provide part numbers on the trees, which correspond, you can see there, AX whatever, some numbers, and that corresponds to the parts you need in the instruction book. So you say up there you've got little, you probably won't be able to see this, but you've got little AX numbers all over the place, which corresponds to part numbers on the plastic trees, which is good. So we're going to put together the front axle first, and then we're going to do the rear axle. It's a very easy process. That's the pinion gear there. There's no spiral to it or anything, it's just standard pinion gear. And you've got some sort of shaft here, so that goes, you put a pin through here, through the shaft. Everything's quite nice and tight, which means there's going to be very little play in there. So the tolerances are good. So pin goes on the shaft. That pinion gear slots into place there, and you've got a little, people call these E-clips, I call them C-clips, but whatever. A clip goes over the end. That is if I can get it over. There we go. Got my giant pliers. So there we go. That's step one. And all this stuff comes in bag A, and it says right, the instructions, open bag A. So, you know, easy enough instructions. This is the first non-Tamiya kit I've built, so yeah, it's going well so far. The next step is to put the diff together. So I've got the diff locker there. Now this is unlike any RC I've had where it's actually got locked diffs, well, proper locked diffs, and that's the hop up that Axial already includes in the G6 kit. Got ring gear, diff cover, and got a gasket and 4 screws. Now because this is a locked diff, you don't need to worry about putting grease inside, because it's locked, there's no moving parts in there. So we have, here's the diff cover. This slides into there, like that. And then, we've got the gasket just there, which seats into there. And then this ring gear's got some posts on it, and those posts slot into the square grooves just there, like that, and then the 4 screws go in the back. And a little tip, screw these in a cross pattern, so when you're tightening it down, so screw toes, tighten that one down, then that one, then that one. Just like you would do a car wheel, just so it seats flush and flat, so you haven't got one side sticking up and one side high, one side low. So just tighten it up in a cross pattern and you should be good. So next up is the drive shafts that go in the axle. Now because we're doing the front one, we need these ones with the dog bones on the end, so it allows for the steering movement. And the rear ones are just straight to the axle ends, where you've got the hex nut that goes straight on, and then the wheel nut. Yeah, so we're going to be using the dog bone end ones. So we've got those, and we've got some bearings, and we need to put thread lock on the end of these when they go into the diff, just to make sure that they don't come out and start damaging stuff. So these are about the biggest bearings I've ever worked with. But these slide on to both sides of the diff. Again, good tight fit, so there's going to be very little play. And that one slides over. So you've got bearings on both ends of the diff. And then these axles get a little Loctite on the end. It's simply so they don't come free, and you'll start stripping the ends of these as well. So they fit. So you have these bearings, the smaller ones. I should have done this first really, otherwise I'm going to get a Loctite all over them. So the bearing goes over first, and then you put the Loctite on, and that goes into the diff and just slides in. So there we go, bearing on first, then you get the Loctite, and that goes into the other end of the diff. Make sure they're pushed in all the way as well. So that's the internals of the front axle. So now we're actually assembling the axles. So I've got the casings here, we've got the pinion, this goes in first. But what we want to do is we want to push these bearings, one in that side. Again, nice tight snug fit, one in that side, and then one down there. So what might be easier is if you put the bearing on the actual pinion and then push it in, because you've got a bit more force on there, rather than trying to stuff your finger down there, push it in. So we're going to want to put a little bit of grease on this shaft. Now I'm using my Lucas wheel bearing water resistant grease, simply because I will be running this in muddy conditions and in water, so just want to keep it protected for as long as possible. And then push the bearing on, like that, and then push it down into the axle, like that. So now while that pinion's accessible, you want to put a bit more grease on the actual gears itself. There you go, that should be enough, it'll work its way around anyway. So this only goes one way. So you've got this larger edge here, and it tapers down to a smaller end here, which transfers to the diff. So you've got the larger end there, it tapers down as the diff gets smaller. So that seats in there. These bearings fit into there and into that side. So there we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the other side on to completely seal it. So it'll only go on one way, which is good. So that'll press on, and then we've got 4 screws which go through there, through to the other side. We've got 2 nuts at the bottom, little captive nuts, just there, and at the top, that's where this brace comes into it. So I'm going to get this screwed on. It's going to be a bit of a fiddle, so I'm going to do it off camera, and then I'll report back and I'll show you the completed diff nearly. Well, the completed axle nearly. So it's all together. Had a bit of a panic moment. It was really really tight in there. The gear mesh was really tight. So what I saw in the instructions, it's got a little warning here, just there to make sure that the pinion part is seated properly, and the bearing wasn't pushed down all the way, hence why it was tight. But it's really free now, really free moving, which is good. So I've got 2 more screws to add. Got one just there. There we go. That's the brace on as well. So that's one axle complete. Well, nearly. Just got to put the hubs and the knuckles on. The axle sits at a slight angle, like that, when it's all attached together. And you want these hubs to go straight up. It's in the instructions here, just at the bottom. So you want them to be directly vertical when the axle's pointing slightly upwards. So it's very difficult to explain unless you see the instructions, but yeah, so there's definitely a right way to put these hubs on, and they just push on. Oh, putting that on the wrong way. So you need to squeeze the end of the axle tube together and push it on, and it's just held in with one screw at the front and one screw at the back. So that's one side. So if I rotate pinion, you can see that spins. So I'll do the other side, and there we go. That's the hubs attached. So now I've got to move on to the front knuckles. Small bearing goes at the front, and the bigger bearing goes at the back. So I'll seat those already, and we want to push the axle in. It needs a bit of grease on it. Push that in. Very nice. And we also have these collars here, and they push up. Should have done this first actually. They push up inside where the screws come through. So I've got one on each side. Yes, do this before you put the actual axle in. But once they're in, it goes on the axle. Now you need to remember that the steering link, this is the front axle, remember, and the steering link runs in front of the axle, not behind, because that's where the drive shaft is. So it runs in front. So you need to have this part of the steering knuckle, where it attaches, facing forwards, like that. And you get a screw at the top and a screw at the bottom. Now it is a dog bone drive cup kind of setup, like a Tamiya. So I'll see how they go for now, and then if they start causing me problems or they break, I'll look at changing them. But the idea with this build is I'm not going to replace anything until it breaks, and not going to upgrade anything until it breaks. That's one side done, so I'm going to quickly do the other side, and then that will be the front axle fully done. And there you have it. That's the one complete front axle. So now what I'm going to do is going to do the rear, but being as it's pretty much the same principle as this, bar steering knuckles, I'm just going to assemble it straight away. I'm not going to do any sort of tutorial style video, I'm just going to do a quick time lapse of me assembling the rear axle. Yeah, it's looking good so far, nice and chunky. So that is it for episode 1 of the Trail project. Here's the front axle with the steering link that goes at the front. This is all new to me, you know, big axles, nice chunky axles with lock diffs and steering at the front. So you've got a steering bar to go there, and this steering link goes up to where the servo mounts. But yeah, super cool. So we've got that one, and here's the rear one. So they look really nice. They've got some weight to them, which is good. Keeps the centre of gravity low. The plan for this is just to build it as stock as I can make it, and then if something breaks, then I'll look to upgrade it. I'm not going to upgrade straight away like other builds that I've done. I'm going to wait until something breaks and then upgrade it. So if a knuckle breaks, I'll upgrade both to aluminium. If the hub breaks, I'll upgrade both aluminium, you know, all around the truck. There's going to be a few exceptions, like the wheels and tyres. I'll change them simply because they're more of a performance part and they're probably not going to break anyway. So I might look to get in some smaller wheels and some different tyres. The other thing that I might do is, because on the front axle from the stock setup it mounts to the axle, the servo, what I might do is change that to a chassis mounted servo and have a link that comes down and attaches to the steering, because I think it looks more scale, looks more realistic. Enjoying this build so far, hope you are too. Hope it's been useful for you, and I hope it's helped you with your SCX10 build. So again, thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out the Facebook and Twitter pages, links are down below in the description box. I shall see you next time on RC Projects. Bye.